Hey, what's up, everybody? We're 7 TCG, and we gotta talk. So, the Flesh and Blood community, and Flesh and Blood as a whole, has been in the most unique spot that I've personally seen it in since I've started the game. Obviously, when I started the game, it was right before Flesh and Blood 2.0. Uprising was, I think, maybe I don't think there was Uprising spoilers yet. But Uprising was the next set, and Everfest was already here, and I think it was like right before Worlds. I don't 100% remember the exact moment, but Fab was booming. Fab was growing, right? And then we take some time goes forward, and the game is still growing. It starts to stutter a little bit, but it still goes. And we have PT2, PT3. Everything's going good. But it's like ever since it feels like the end of ProQuest Season 3, which was like January, February, and Oldhim really solidified itself as like the top dog. Um, it just feels like the general mood of the community has been lower. It feels the general mood of the game is just low, like everywhere. It's like a lot of things doesn't seem exciting. There is still a good amount of innovation, but it just doesn't feel special. Like when it felt like when people were innovating before, it was because they found like an interesting idea that hasn't been explored. But when it feels like what people are innovating now, it's just like we're just bored of the current meta. It's not even a lot of the times it's not even to answer something. It's just we're bored. And realistically, we've had I don't want to say the same meta. Well, we've had a very similar kind of meta ever since Outsiders. And that was when, like, obviously Lexi, well, Rangers, got their upgrades and all that stuff. And it wasn't something I really thought about, because I constantly heard from people saying, oh, like, literally I heard this every month, oh, this is the worst meta ever, this is the worst meta ever. Well, yeah, there would also be people saying, this is the greatest meta we've ever seen, this is so diverse. But then, like, you look at the meta, and it's like, well, just like everything, there's like 3 heroes at the top, a few heroes below them, some road decks that will always be fine, and then decks that are completely gate kept, right? And it's literally been the same thing, just new decks every time. And this is not new for any TCG. This is in all TCGs. Heck, if you look at Magic the Gathering, the modern metagame is the exact same from when I quit it like 2 years ago. It's the exact same decks. Flesh and Blood can't say that. Now you might say, well, it's been out for a lot less, but realistically, I feel like Modern has a more of a chance to move because of its diverse card pool. But Flesh and Blood's been more dynamic than Magic, which is like again really sad. Well, kind of getting back to the main point, everything's just felt like it's been sour. Like everyone just saying, "Oh, all right, guys, let's just wait till Oldhim rotates, and then the game will be super healthy." And then Oldhim rotated, and then everyone's like, "All right, guys, let's just wait till Lexi rotates." And and there was even a mix of Briar. There was even a mix of Briar, but it's mostly Lexi was like, "Yeah, just wait till Lexi rotates, and we'll have the healthiest meta we've ever had." And then Lexi's on the verge of rotating, and I can already start to see it. People are going like, "Oh yeah, there's this draw my deck. Hopefully this LL soon." And it's just like, what do people want? Like, it feels weird to me that anytime a new deck becomes the best deck, immediately people are just wanting it to like be horrible. It's just like everyone wants every deck to kind of suck, and I feel like that's kind of boring. And I do feel like stuff like this has caused us to kind of dial back some of their play design. I know they've talked about it and stuff about the power level and stuff. Forgive me for not being able to quote anything. This is kind of just a raw video. But they talked about like dialing some of the power level back to get Flesh and Blood into more of a spot where they really want it. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of people, and I don't know if it's rose-colored glasses or whatever the saying is, but like one of my favorite metas was Starvo to Prism Chain, like during Pro Tour 1. Because like you had 3 insanely powerful decks that were in a triangle. But even if one of the decks was better than the other, you still had a fighting chance because the decks were just insane when it comes to power. And you weren't reading gate kept, realistically, because like you've seen the Pro Tour, you've seen Lexi's doing good, you've seen Kano's obviously come as an anti-meta thing. You've seen Dory's getting some results when you really don't think they should. And it's just really insane that it feels like we haven't had that exactly. Now, the numbers might disagree, but like just the feel is just something's just off. And what I was originally going to say is like, it feels like this meta is way too predictable, but then it's really not, because if you look at the current meta right now, everyone would be like, well, Lexi and Dromire are top dogs, and then you see like Riptides, Reinars, Azaleas just clapping heads and taking names. Bravo's has been a constant ever since Odom's left, and it's like, well, is this meta really that predictable? No, not really, because it feels like there's a new deck just rising up. Maybe not being one of the top decks, but rising up every week. But then it begs the question, does it matter? Does it like actually matter? And I don't want to make this a living legend discussion. I think that deserves its own kind of video. But I do think things like this do bring up issues that people have with the living legend system. Talking about, well, we have these really powerful decks that are eventually just going to go away. Like for me, my Prism deck, my literal CC Prism deck, from when she was legal. Wow, cool. I'm just like dropping half. Well, that was most of the tokens. My CC Prism deck from when she was legal is right here, and I was going through it, and I was just like looking at it, and like I was just thinking about the memories of like playing this. I'm just like I'm thumbing through them right now, and it's just like there's just memories of me casting certain cards, and just it just doesn't feel the same. And now I'm sure chain players feel that. I know a lot of people were connected to Starvo. And again, I don't think Living Legends all to blame for the situation that we're in, because who knows what type of situation it'd be in if like Starvo was still legal, Chain was still legal, Prism was still legal, but you had all the new heroes come out the exact same way, exact same bans that have happened, but just those 3 heroes are legal. Like, are we all just still playing those heroes? Or any of the new heroes that viable? Whenever these new heroes are unleashed, like, would anyone play? Let's say, because of how the signature weapon thing is, right? Let's say you had full power Prism with Luminaris. Would anyone play new Prism? Maybe because like the hero ability like actually is technically more. Sorry. Yes, I could still see people playing new Prism with just Luminaris because the hero ability is just powerful. But then you're asking like, okay, how much how much do I want to dive into the Angel archetype? It's adding more no blocks. Maybe I'll just go with the consistency of making Spectre Shields. Would anyone play Vincent for any reason when like it is just a worse chain? Like it just is. I'm sorry, it's just worse. Now the Starvo Bravo Odom dynamic, I do think wouldn't be that much of a problem, because even when Starvo was legal, there were Bravo players, there were Odom players, and there were Starvo players. Now, objectively, was Starvo probably correct? Yes. But you still had an angle. you had an angle to play all three of those heroes. Like, you could play Starvo if you just wanted to have the sheer power. Odom's defensive ability was just absolutely immaculate. You had OG Bravo. Now, you might say, well, it's just strictly where Starvo, and I do agree, but because you don't actually have to sacrifice card pool, you can be a little more of a consistent deck. And it's like, you had that dynamic. And it's like, do we really have that anymore? Like, mind you, there's 4 mechs. Now, there's 4 mechs out right now, and I'm gonna be honest, Max sucks. I'm sorry to tell you that, Max sucks. Techno Boston sucks. Dash IO is interesting. And OG Dash is just pretty good. She's just very solid. And I don't see Lexi rotating changing any of that. Which is where, like, is the Living Legend system actually that relevant? Because it'd be different if I was like, oh, Lexi's gatekeeping these decks. And I'm like, is she? Like, will any of these heroes, besides exactly OG Dash, really be that relevant at Worlds where there's going to be no Lexi? Do these heroes just find a new problem to have? I think so, personally. And want to kind of flip the topic to burnout. Now, as you guys know, I have an esports background, and the topic of burnout is a big thing. For those pretty much don't know what burnout is just like basically people overworking themselves in a certain area and growing tired of that and not able to really give their full effort in a certain area. And I've kind of experienced that in a few different games. I don't want to say I'm experiencing it right now in Flesh and Blood, because like the parallel I'm going to be making is burnout exists, but it's kind of like I don't want to say who cares, but like it's kind of like who cares, right? You'll go play League of Legends, and you'll see like 16, 17, 18-year-old Koreans playing for like 14 plus hours a day. And they're just elite. Now, a lot of times when they retire, they step away fully. Now, some will like become coaches, but a lot of them step away or just like become streamers, right? Is that really applicable to Flesh and Blood? I think so. I don't see a reason that you can't play 14, 15, 16 hours a day. Especially if your goal is to become an elite player. Are any of us really doing that? Are any of us even capable of doing that? I don't know. Personally, I haven't seen anyone doing that or heard of anyone just grinding like that, like they do in esports. It's hard. It's just really hard to point my finger on some of these issues. Because, like, I see a lot of the issues, but I'm like, is this just a self-caused issue, or does this issue even matter? And I keep going back to, like, well, no, these issues don't really matter, and yes, this is self-caused. I'm not saying I'm going to quit, because, matter of fact, I've been able to travel more for Flesh and Blood than I have in the past. I've been able to buy more for Flesh and Blood than I have in the past. I started coaching on the regular for a team, and I've been coaching individuals. So when it comes to Flesh and Blood, I've actually picked up in production, where most people are dialing back. Now, the one thing I was asking myself, because I just watched Seminar's podcast talking about how Roger's taking a hiatus from Flesh and Blood because of a lot of these issues. And it's just like, I pretty much agreed with everything he said in that video. But then, like, I present myself that question, like, do I want to quit right now? And I'm like, well, no. Things have been more fruitful than they ever have been. Heck, I'm going to have an ad at Worlds. That's awesome. Right now feels like the worst time to quit. It's like, well, what is your reason for playing? And I think that this is the sour road that you can go down when you're strictly a competitive player, or at least competitive minded. Because for people that are just like playing on kitchen table or just playing Blitz or whatever, I think they're probably having a good time. It's a very smaller percentage, in my opinion. Obviously, data can disagree with that, and the data is always right for the most part. But it's like most of the stuff I'm seeing is obviously from the competitive scene, from the competitive side. So that's where I'm getting all my data from. And a lot of competitive players just aren't happy. And the more people that aren't happy, the more it just starts to trickle down. And more people become unhappy, and more people become unhappy. And it's just like, I hate using this metaphor, but I'm going to. Gun to head right now. If someone offered me, Isaac, I can bag, we're going to reimburse you every last bit of money that you put into Flesh and Blood. You can back all the way out. It'll be like you never played. Would you do it right now? I'm talking about every last card I own. Sold, I get my money back. Like every last bit of it, I'm pretty much wiping my hands clean. Would I do it? And I unfortunately think the answer is yes, I would. Now, spoiler, I'm not going to, as of right now. But if the offer was ever given to have an out, to like rewind time, I probably would. Now, I would hope I have some of the memories because, dear God, I've met some of the best people I've ever met in my life in the Flesh and Blood community. I've made lifelong friends in the Flesh and Blood community. I've discovered things about myself while playing Flesh and Blood, and it's just like for that some of this stuff to never ever happen would just feel wrong. It's like if I know this is where everything eventually winds up, is it worth going through all that? That is the question, and I just don't know if it is. Because it's just like everywhere I go, it's just kind of like the negativity, whether it's warranted or not. You ask me, I'm a person that I put a lot of hours into it, mostly into the research and studying side. I don't physically play that much Flesh and Blood. And the totality of how my time is acclimated. But it's like, I could easily be doing more. Like, if I would say, given a free day, how much time I would put in Flesh and Blood, I'd probably say 8 to 10, pretty much a work day. And that's not enough. That's not enough to be elite. Now, if that was to be elite, that would be an outlier. That'd be a very special case. But on the average, that's not enough. Especially when you see people in other games grind more and still have less success. Like, the blueprint to have success is literally laid out by Asian culture. And I don't do half of that. And the fact that I'm not even doing half of that, and me and a lot of these people are still experiencing burnout, that's just a major issue. Because someone like a lot of us should not be experiencing burnout. We should not. We should love Flesh and Blood where it's at right now. We should be super excited because World Championships are around the corner. But it's like most people that aren't participating in Worlds are just like meh. But I remember this point last year, everyone was super excited. Even people that weren't playing in Worlds were just excited to talk and play Flesh and Blood. I I remember the joke someone said that feels like Flesh and Blood players are like Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, would you like to talk about love and save Flesh and Blood? Like that's what it felt like. And like I kind of got the joke and I kind of agreed with the joke too. But it's like now you have stores that are just not selling Flesh and Blood anymore. Like Harry Tarantula doesn't sell Flesh and Blood anymore in Canada. Just doesn't even hold it. There's a lot of stores that have like 3 to 4 man armories. Is that really where we want to be at? No. Now, Magic, you could say, oh, Magic, there's stories like that for Magic too, and it's just like, well, yes, but for different reasons. Like, even though I think Magic is an absolutely atrocious game. Why does my opera keep popping up? Even though I think Magic is an absolutely atrocious game, I literally just rebought back into Commander. Dude, I rebought back into Commander. Because it's interesting right now. It might be just because I haven't played it in years. Like, I haven't played Commander for like 3 or 4 years, like regularly, because I went and just played competitively full time. It's just like, it just feels new, it feels fresh. I have other friends that quit the same time I did that are getting back into it, spending money, and it's just like, we dogged on Magic and Commander of how bad it is. But here we are. Here we are. Back in that same loop. Playing Commander. And it's like, is it a loop that we can actually ever escape? I don't know. And like the thing is, like the Flesh and Blood equivalent of Commander is it's just not the same. Even 4 years into Magic's lifespan, I think Commander was really in depth. Heck, the first year was in depth. I've watched a lot of old school Commander. It was pretty in depth. But like here is just like, I think probably Flesh and Blood, the biggest problem is it's the greatest attraction, which is like a very unique place to be at. It is strictly a competitive game, like a competitive focus game. It's not to say people can't play it casually, because people definitely play this game casually. But like, this game is the hardest card game I've ever played. And this is a point in time where my mind has been the most mature. I've put the most hours into studying. And I'm still like, yeah, this game is like, gives me a headache. Like, I remember playing Magic. It's to a point where everything felt so formulaic. I could literally read opponents' plays like turns in advance. Like, I've told you guys stories of me playtesting against a friend and me literally playing his first, like, playing turns for him based on, like, just a small amount of information. I know, like, okay, what is probable right now? And I could accurately, like, just discern a lot of things. Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't really know where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at competitively. At least, like, where the player base is. I know they always cry about something. I mean, every player base cries about something, but, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base finds the most unique things to cry about. And it's just like, bro, chill. Like, I've picked back up Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's just like, I ask myself, do I even like this game anymore? Do I even like Flesh and Blood anymore? Cause like I'll hop on I'll play like a game of Talishar, but like it almost feels like a chore sometimes. It feels like I have to. And the big issue is because I just started coaching full time. Well, no, I shouldn't say full time. I just started coaching regularly. I now can't take a break. I now cannot take a break. For multiple reasons. Number one, if I take a break, well, that's just less time invested into the people I need to be invested into. That's a problem. If I take a break now, who's to say I would want to come back? If I take a break now, do I lose a lot of the edge that I have? And I can keep going on and on and on and on. And it's just sad. It's just like, I do think maybe card games in general kind of just have this problem. And actually, I'm going to take a step further. I kind of feel like gaming in general has this problem. Where, like, unless you're largely like a single player or an RPG kind of guy, like if you're a competitively focused player, like let's look at League of Legends. League of Legends is like so dog right now. Like the World Championship is like, I remember years past when I had less free time, I would like binge watch League. I couldn't get enough of it. Now with way more free time to be able to watch it, even while working, I can like listen to it. I don't. I just don't care. I listen to podcasts. But like actually watching and playing League, don't care. I just know that like other games are like this. And again, I can't take a break. If I took a break, I would be wasting so much of especially of my recent time. Not even just so time. I'm talking about recent time I'm wasting. And I don't even have the best excuse of wanting to quit or wanting to take a break. I don't have the best excuse. Other people have more excuses. Like again, Roger, he has a kid. He has law school. He has stuff going in his personal life. I don't have a kid. I don't go to school. I just have a job and I coach. And like those things are way different than law school and having a child. So it's like, do I even deserve to complain? And like that's the other thing is like I think one of the biggest things is like we all need to stop is what are we actually complaining about? Because the people that saying we're complaining about the meta are the same people that complained about the meta before. It's not like people just now started playing about meta. Dude, did you hear how people talked about Odom? Did you hear how people talked about Odom? It was horrible. And we were all sure that it was over and Flesh and Blood would heal itself. And here we are, people not even wanting to participate in like ProQuest because they're like, why would I? That's so sad. Because this game is awesome. And I don't think it's any fault of LSS. I don't think LSS, at least in my personal opinion, has done anything to make me hate the game more. Absolutely not. If anything, they've put systems in place for me to enjoy the game more. But it's like, I just find myself just not caring most of the time. I just don't care. I don't say I just don't care most of the time. It sucks. Like legit. Everything just kind of sucks. And I usually don't like putting out negative videos like this, and I had no intention of this being negative. But it's like, something kind of just has to change. And how does it change? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. As much as I wish I did, I don't. Worlds is coming up, guys. So, try your best to enjoy Worlds. Because it only comes out once a year. And this is the moment that the whole entire season is built up towards. So, enjoy yourselves. Should you personally take a break? I don't know. I don't know your story. I don't know your situation. But at the end of the day, do what's best for you. I'm going to try to do my best to do what's best for me. And yeah, that's coming to the end. Sorry again, sorry that this was more of a little downer video, but kind of says what it is. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys want to see next. It's been your boy Cypher from TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.